Shalom Bethel family. This week we're going to review our Torah talk from 2 Shabbatot ago. Last week I was out, so I did not have a chance to record our Torah talk from Parshat Ekev from the book of Deuteronomy. And started our Torah talk in Shul 2 weeks ago talking about an experience I had on vacation over the summer. I was traveling in New York City. We brought our kids to the Hayden Planetarium to see the whole show about how the universe was created. And it's all about the Big Bang and light and dark matter and dark energy and how we know that this dark matter and dark energy exists, but how we don't know exactly what it is, and how we've mapped out all the dark energy in the universe with this clever satellite. And then the narrator, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you always know you're watching a hip scientific thing if it's narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he says, but we still don't know what this dark energy is or what this dark matter is. And so I turned to my friend who I was with and I said, oh, the dark energy and the dark matter, that's God. And I kind of chuckled because all throughout human history, whenever we get to the point in discovery that we no longer know what we're looking at, that's always where God is. So if we were ancient man, God is in fire, and if we're a little bit more in the future, God is the sun, and so on and so forth. So now our understanding is limited at dark matter and dark energy, so why not call that God, right? So that's sort of the negative view of religion, that we just use religion to fill in the blanks of the things that we don't understand. I, of course, find that view unsatisfying and unsophisticated. And we get some insight about what a real religious approach to looking at the universe should mean and where we find God. And it is not only in the places we don't understand, it is not only in the places that inspire awe. So let's go back and look at Parshat Ekev. In fact, specifically, a very important verse, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12, which says, Ve'ata Yisrael ma Adonai Elohecha shoel me'imach ki im lira et Adonai Elohecha. Right? So now, Israel, what does the Lord God demand of you? Only to yira et Adonai Elohecha, to be in awe of the Lord your God, or to fear the Lord your God. The word yira is actually can be translated both ways, as fear or as awe. They're not unrelated ideas, but today we're going to focus in particularly on the idea of awe. Right? So in Deuteronomy, God commands that we should be in awe of God. Okay, so the rabbis in the Talmud, in Brachot 33b, are commenting on this. And a rabbi named Rabbi Hanina says, a very, very famous quote from the Talmud, Kol bidei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Right? Everything is in the hands of heaven except for fear of heaven. We went around, we had an interesting talk in Shul about exactly what that means, that everything is in the hands of heaven except fear of heaven. We talked about predetermination and we talked about free will. But I wanted to look at it from a slightly different point of view, a more personal point of view. And I want to look at this as everything is in the hands of heaven except fear of heaven. What does that mean? That means that, we are all born with a certain destiny that is handed to us by our personality. Right? We have free will, but a lot of our free will and our choice is decided by things that we do not have control over, by our genetics, by our inborn personality, by our experiences that build that personality, such that two people having the exact same experience might inevitably interpret it differently. So what do the rabbis tell us? Right? So your personality is decided by heaven. It's decided by whatever your interpretation of that is. Nature, nurture, heaven, right? But hopefully we can all agree that people are born with an innate personality that is in them even before they have any experiences in the world. Even as infants, even as babies, we can see personality coming through. That is a trap that is laid for us by Shamayim, according to this verse of the Talmud. We are stuck with our personality. Except there's one aspect of personality that is not ordained by heaven, and that is awe. Right? Everything is ordained by heaven about our personality, except yirat shamayim, except awe of heaven or fear of heaven, meaning that our attitude towards what we see around us and where we find holiness in the world, that is not part of our personality. That is something that we decide. In other words, awe, or our experience of awe, our use of awe, is not part of our personality, according to this verse of the Talmud. Now, throughout the summer, we've been going back and looking through a number of Mussar concepts like gratitude and generosity and enthusiasm, and now awe, yira. And one consistent theme is that the Mussar rabbis don't see these things necessarily as things to be experienced, but as tools to use. And I think that is very much where this Gemara is coming from, this passage of the Talmud, right? Saying that awe is not part of your personality. Awe is a tool that you can use to approach the world. Said a little differently in a quote from Abraham Joshua Heschel in his famous theological work, God in Search of Man. He says, awe is more than an emotion, right? It's not something that comes from deep inside us or that's innate or inborn. Says Heschel, it is a way of understanding. Awe is itself an act of insight into a meaning greater than ourselves. Right? In other words, it is a tool for experiencing the world. And when we spoke about gratitude several weeks ago, I mentioned that the axiom from Mussar for gratitude is not that when things that happen to us that are good, we should feel grateful, but rather that by feeling grateful, we will recognize all the things in our lives that are good. Right? Let me say that again. It's very important. Gratitude is not a feeling we should experience when good things happen to us, but a tool we should use to recognize the good that is in the world around us all the time. Right? By stopping and recognizing what is good and feeling grateful for it, we'll experience more of that good. Mussar has the same approach with awe. Right? Awe is not simply an emotion we experience when we see something grand, something greater than ourselves, an awe-inspiring mountain, an ocean, a beautiful sunrise. This week we could talk about a total eclipse of the sun by the moon. Those things may inspire awe, but that's not the Mussar approach to awe, really not the Jewish approach to awe. Awe, in fact, is a tool to recognize that which is holy, that which is greater than us, all around us, all the time. And it is a core idea, a core principle of Judaism, just like gratitude is a tool that Judaism uses, a central tool, by saying blessings and being careful about how we approach the world and what we pay attention to and what we don't. Judaism uses gratitude to make life more meaningful. So too, Judaism uses awe to make life more meaningful, meaning that we try and see the wonder in everything all around us. So if we have blessings to teach us about gratitude, we have other practices that help us experience awe. Maybe most importantly, this one, right? Wearing a kippah. So when I started wearing a kippah or a yarmulke, a head covering at all times, I did it sort of as an act of pride when I was coming home from camp, but that's not, in fact, that's the opposite of what wearing a kippah is really about. In the Talmud, in Kedushin 31a, we read, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, it is forbidden for a man to walk 4 cubits being upright in posture. Why? Because it says the whole world is filled with his honor, right? So don't walk around haughtily, because God's all around you, and who would stand before God with pride? And then, more operatively, Rav Huna, son of Rav Yehoshua, would not walk 4 cubits with an uncovered head. He said, the divine presence is above my head. So why do we wear a kippah? When we put on the kippah, it's supposed to remind us that at all times we are standing in a world filled with God's holiness, filled with sanctity. We walk around through our everyday lives caught up in the mundane, recognizing things that are absolutely miraculous as routine, right? From the rain and the sunshine and the way the world works to the trees and the plants around us and the fact that oxygen, the balance of there's so many little things to watching a little insect that is essential to a food web that ultimately provides us with a comfortable world to live in and sustenance to eat. Miracles are all around us. The very act of breathing and our very own bodies, all of this awe-inspiring, or at least it could be, but mostly it's not. Judaism reminds us that with actions like wearing a kippah and taking time to recognize the wonder of nature, God in nature, which we do, there are special blessings just for seeing even everyday things, smelling a beautiful fragrance from flowers. Even in things that are ugly, we have a blessing to recognize the God, the divine in ugly things, because God is everywhere and all around us all the time. And when we can look at the world through this tool of yirah that is in our hands to grasp and to use, it completely changes the way we live and the meaning of our lives and our sense of purpose in the world. This week, today, in fact, I'm recording this on Wednesday, we celebrate Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of Elul, which means that we are a month away from Rosh Hashanah. We are entering the period of the Yamim Noraim, or the days of awe. And my prayer for all of us, my wish, is that we can all use this tool of awe to find the divine in the world around us, to grasp onto it, to connect to it, and to use it to elevate our own lives, to sanctify our own lives, and to commit ourselves to more holiness and more goodness in everything that we do. May this high holiday season, which starts officially today, bring us to that place over the next 6 weeks or so, as we turn to this period of the year when we are closer to God and hopefully have a better sense of that which is greater than us in the world. In other words, a better sense of awe.